Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive.
Excited to be here.
Today we're looking at something I think is super relevant to everyone in public service.
Oh, yeah.
Fascinating research from McKinsey about something called organizational health.
Oh, okay.
Now I know what you might be thinking, right?
Another consultant buzzword.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But trust me, this is insightful stuff that can help us all think about serving our communities better.
I mean, that's what we're all about, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what's really cool about this research
Yeah.
is that McKinsey recognizes right off the bat that governments are unique.
In what way?
Well, they've got this dual mission, not just taking care of employees, but making sure they're serving citizens effectively.
Right. And that's a tough balancing act sometimes, especially with all the unique pressures in the public sector.
Totally. I mean, think about it. We're constantly juggling competing priorities, trying to keep everyone happy.
It's true. And this research actually nails some of the big challenges we face in public service. Intense public scrutiny, tight budgets, ever-changing political landscapes.
Oh, and sometimes, let's be honest, dealing with public dissatisfaction.
Yeah, it could be tough.
For sure. And that's why I think understanding this concept of organizational health is so crucial.
It makes sense. If we figure out how to build a healthier organization, we're better equipped to handle those challenges. We can actually thrive in that complex environment.
That's a goal. So let's break down this whole organizational health thing a bit.
Right.
What does it even mean? It does sound a little jargony.
I hear you. It's really about how well an organization is run.
Oh, okay.
And that directly impacts, how well it can achieve its goals.
Right.
McKinsey developed this tool they call the Organizational Health Index.
Organizational Health Index. Okay.
OHI for short.
OHI. Got it.
It measures different aspects of how well things are working internally.
So like what kind of things?
We're talking leadership, culture, how well people work together, all that good stuff.
Yeah. So they've actually found a way to quantify this whole organizational health idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker.
Okay.
Research shows organizations that score high on this OHI have almost 4 times higher employee satisfaction.
Wow. That's huge.
That is a big difference. And think about what that means for public service. Happier employees are more engaged, productive, better at serving the public.
It's a win-win. I love it.
For sure.
So let's get down to brass tacks. How does the public sector measure up to private companies on this organizational health thing?
Well, the research shows public sector organizations, on average, tend to score a bit lower on the OHI than private sector companies.
Really?
Yeah, there are a few areas where we see a consistent lag, particularly things like coordination and control, accountability, and maybe most importantly, external orientation.
External orientation. What does that mean exactly?
It's all about how well we're focused on the needs of our citizens.
Ah, got it.
I think that external orientation piece rings true. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and lose sight of that bigger picture, serving the citizens.
Exactly. And the research kind of suggests there's real value in learning from the private sector, how they prioritize the customer experience.
Which for us would be the citizen experience.
Exactly. But before we go down that rabbit hole, it's not all doom and gloom.
Oh, good. I was hoping you'd say that. So what are we doing well? What are some bright spots?
One of the biggest strengths of public sector organizations is employee motivation.
Interesting.
Public servants consistently score high there. And I think that speaks to the fact that for many of us, this isn't just a job, it's a calling.
That's true. Yeah.
We're driven by a deeper sense of purpose.
Yeah.
And that comes through in the research.
It's a powerful point. In my experience, public servants are some of the most dedicated, passionate people I've met.
Oh, absolutely.
Truly believe in their work. You see it reflected in their commitment.
For sure. And that sense of purpose can be a huge asset when it comes to building a healthy organization.
How so?
The research highlights this, actually. The most successful public entities are also really good at embracing new ideas and fostering a sense of belonging among their employees.
Okay.
It creates this environment where people feel valued, supported, empowered to make a difference.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've got this big picture view of organizational health and how it plays out in the public sector.
Right.
I'm sure everyone's wondering, what can we actually do with this information? How do we translate it into action?
That's the key question.
All right.
And thankfully, the research gives us some really concrete takeaways.
Okay.
5 key areas. Public sector organizations can focus on these to boost their organizational health and ultimately improve their impact.
So it's about making internal improvements to drive positive change externally.
Exactly.
Love it. Okay, I'm hooked. Let's dive into those 5 actionable takeaways. This is where the rubber meets the road.
All right, let's do it.
We can see how this research can actually make a difference in the lives of the people we serve.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to dig into those.
Let's get to it. So we were talking about these 5 takeaways for public sector organizations, looking to improve their impact. I think you'll find these pretty interesting.
I'm ready. What's the first area we should focus on?
Well, McKinsey calls this one anchoring your vision on the beneficiaries.
Anchoring your vision on the beneficiaries.
Yeah. It's a fancy way of saying you need to make sure your work is truly benefiting citizens, the people you serve.
It's obvious, right?
It does, but it's surprisingly easy to lose sight of that when you're, caught up in the day-to-day grind.
Oh, absolutely. You get bogged down in internal processes and you forget about the people you're ultimately there to help. I've been there.
So how do we stay focused on those we're here to help?
Yeah, how do we?
It's all about consciously making that connection. For example, let's say you're working on a new policy. You really got to think about the specific ways it will impact citizens' lives.
Right. Will it make things easier for them? Will it improve their access to services? If you can't clearly articulate the benefits,
Yeah.
it might be time to rethink.
I love that. Asking yourself, how will this actually make a difference in people's lives? That's a great gut check.
It is.
For any project, really.
Absolutely. Okay, so the second takeaway. This one focuses on leadership.
Okay.
And it's not just about being the boss.
Mm-hmm.
It's about being a leader who inspires and empowers the team. They call it balanced leadership.
Balanced leadership. What does that look like? In practice, I mean.
It's about finding that sweet spot between being strategic and supportive. Think about it this way. You need to set clear expectations, hold people accountable.
Right.
But you also need to create an environment where people feel supported, trusted, empowered to do their best work.
So it's like a balancing act.
Yeah, it is.
It makes me think about some of the best leaders I've worked with. They set a clear direction, but also created a space where you felt comfortable, like you could take risks, share ideas, Exactly. Those are the kinds of leaders who foster those healthy organizations. Okay, the third takeaway. This one's all about implementing meritocratic performance management.
Performance management. Ooh, that doesn't always have the most positive connotations.
Yeah.
I think we've all been through those performance reviews.
Yeah.
Where it feels more like checking boxes than a meaningful conversation.
I hear you. But performance management doesn't have to be a chore. When it's done well, it can be a really valuable tool for individual growth and organizational improvement. And when we say meritocratic, we mean a system that rewards good work, helps everyone improve. It doesn't matter, their seniority or position.
So it's about recognizing contributions, providing constructive feedback, creating opportunities for growth and development.
Yes, exactly.
So it's about a culture where people feel recognized,
Yeah.
supported in their development. It's not just about you did this wrong, but also celebrating what they're doing right, helping them grow.
Exactly.
I like that.
All right, takeaway number 4. This is all about speed. Something I think we could all use a bit more of in the public sector.
I'm all ears. Tell me more. Accomplishing governance with speed.
That's it. It's about streamlining processes, making decisions faster,
Okay.
but without sacrificing accuracy or accountability.
Right.
We've all experienced those frustratingly slow processes, right? This is about finding ways to cut through that red tape, get things moving.
Oh, our listeners definitely know what you're talking about. But how do we actually make that happen?
It's about being smart, strategic, eliminating unnecessary steps, empowering people to make decisions at the right level,
Right.
and using technology, to automate tasks and improve communication.
Oh, yeah.
Think about how much time we could save if we could access information more easily, if we could collaborate more efficiently. Across departments, I mean.
Working smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
And I bet technology has a big role to play there.
Huge role. Okay, the 5th and final takeaway. This one is all about breaking down those silos. The ones that can plague large organizations.
Oh, silos, yeah. They can be such a barrier. You end up with duplication of effort, communication breakdowns, missed opportunities.
Exactly. This is especially important in the public sector, where we're dealing with complex challenges, ones that require, a multifaceted approach. We need to share knowledge, resources, expertise across departments, across agencies to achieve common goals.
It's about recognizing we're all on the same team, working towards that shared purpose, serving our communities effectively.
Precisely. Now, these 5 takeaways, they're all interconnected. You can't just focus on one, expect to see a major transformation.
Right.
It's about a holistic approach and making changes in each of these areas.
Like weaving a tapestry. Each thread contributes to the overall picture.
That's a great analogy. Even small changes can have a ripple effect, leading to a healthier organization, one that's better at meeting the needs of citizens.
So we've talked about these takeaways, but how do we know if they're making a difference for the people we serve? How does a healthy organization translate into a better experience for citizens?
That's a great question, and it's something we're going to explore in the next part of our deep dive. We'll look at specific examples of how this is all playing out, how public sector organizations are using these principles to make a difference.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been talking about this whole organizational health thing.
Yeah, how it can really make a difference in the public sector.
We've covered the challenges, the benefits, those practical takeaways, all that good stuff. But how does all of this translate into tangible benefits for citizens? At the end of the day, that's what matters, right?
Absolutely. And the good news is the research shows a strong link between organizational health and, better outcomes for citizens.
That's great. But can you give me some concrete examples? I'd love to see how this plays out in the real world.
Sure. Let's imagine a city government. They're struggling with those long wait times for permit approvals.
Oh, yeah.
It's a nightmare for residents.
I can practically feel the frustration.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of our listeners have experienced this, either as a citizen or a public servant, just trying to navigate those systems.
Totally. Now imagine this same city government. They decide to really take organizational health seriously.
Right.
They streamline their processes,
Okay.
clarify roles and responsibilities, empower employees to make decisions faster.
So they're putting that governance with speed takeaway into action.
Exactly. And what happens? Permit approvals start happening faster.
Makes sense.
Residents are happier, businesses can move forward, and the city functions more efficiently.
That's a great example. It really shows how those internal changes can impact citizens' lives in a big way.
Totally. And it's not just about efficiency. Organizational health can also lead to more innovative services, more effective services.
Innovation is something we always need more of. How does a healthy organization do that? Foster that kind of creative problem solving?
Well, let's say you have a public health agency. They're trying to address rising rates of chronic diseases.
Okay, yeah.
If they have a healthy culture, they're more likely to be open to new ideas, new approaches,
So instead of just sticking with the same old programs, they're looking for new solutions.
Yeah.
Working with partners.
Right. They might partner with community organizations to offer preventative programs.
Right.
Experiment with new tech to reach people, or use data to identify health disparities, really address them.
So they're breaking down silos, embracing new technologies, thinking outside the box.
Yes.
That's what we need more of. It sounds like a healthy organization can be more responsive to the community's needs.
Yeah.
And more proactive.
Exactly. And that leads to better outcomes, right?
Sure. This applies across so many areas. Any other inspiring examples?
Well, think about a school district
Okay.
struggling with low student engagement, low achievement. By focusing on organizational health, they might create a more supportive environment for teachers.
We need to support our teachers if we want them to support students.
Exactly. Things like clear expectations, opportunities for development, strong leadership. That empowers them. It can make a huge difference.
It's about creating a culture where teachers feel valued,
Yeah.
respected, empowered,
Yes. And when teachers feel that way, it benefits the students.
leading to higher achievement. And that benefits everyone, the whole community.
Precisely.
These examples are inspiring. It's not just an abstract concept. It has real benefits for the people we serve.
Exactly. And it's something every public servant can contribute to.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the key takeaway? What do you want our listeners to walk away with?
Organizational health is not a luxury, it's a necessity. It's the foundation for a better public sector, one that's more effective, efficient, responsive. That can really make a difference.
Beautifully said. And remember, it's a journey. Keep learning, experimenting, and striving to build that healthier organization, a more impactful one. Now, the research leaves us with one final thought. How could embracing the gig economy and fixed-term contracts improve things? Improve performance and efficiency, in your area of public service.
That's something to think about.
It might sound counterintuitive,
Mm.
but could those models actually be the key to a more agile, responsive public sector? That's something to ponder. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you found it insightful, inspiring.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep up the great work. Remember, you have the power to make a difference.